Hey, this is the first video on a series of vlogs that I'm hoping to do. I've been wanting to do this for a while. The reason I've started now is because my friend John Booth, who I'll leave a link to his channel in the description, has recently started doing vlogs himself, and he's been persuading me to do so as well. So thank you for that. Here it goes. One thing you may notice to start off with is I do not have a tripod, meaning the camera's going to be a little bit wobbly, and secondly, I don't have an external microphone, so this is probably going to sound a little bit like us. Basically, I don't know how well this is going to go, I don't know how much effort I'm going to put in, so I don't really know if I can splash out on the money on those right now. So, sorry about that. Now that's out of the way, might as well get started. Need to not talk so fast and remember to breathe. The layout of this video is probably going to be things that get me out of bed in the morning or afternoon, as the case normally is. Basically things that I enjoy and that I feel like worth sharing with you guys. It's an idea that I've kind of stolen a little bit from Marisha Ray's show on Geeky and Sundry channel. Once again, I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's called Signal Boost, where basically they get hosts on every now and then to talk about things that they enjoy and they feel like it's worth sharing with the geek community, the sort of geek community they have surrounding that channel. It's kind of stolen a little bit, I know, but it's a good starting point, I feel. Once again, I realise I am looking at the image of myself next to the camera. It's incredibly distracting. I just need to make sure I'm still in shot because I don't have a tripod to sort of make sure I am in the right place the whole time. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is something that is incredibly important to me at the moment. I am heavily into it. It's called Dungeons & Dragons, commonly known as D&D. Basically, it is a tabletop role-playing game where a group of you and your friends create characters to play through a fantasy universe on a world created by one of the players called the Dungeon Master. That person will create the entire world. They create the dungeons, the traps, the cities, the NPCs, all the monsters, and you guys have to play through it, and you can do whatever you want. As long as you get a good enough roll on this little guy, if I can get it in focus, which is a D20. So you have your own stats and your bonuses and things like that, but heavily everything will depend entirely on how you roll on that dice, which I think is fantastic. It means there is always a chance of success, there's always a chance of failure, because on the dice there is a 1, where is it? A 1, and on the other side, if I can find it, there's a 20. If you roll a 1, you fail. If you roll a 20, you succeed, no matter what. And unlike a video game where you are heavily limited by what the developers have put into the game, in Dungeons & Dragons, you can do whatever you want as long as you can imagine it. Meaning, you could just say, I want to win. I can't think of an example right now because it's literally anything. You can say, I want to kill the evil wizard, I want to win in the arm wrestling competition in a town filled with giants. And if you roll that 20, you would beat that giant in arm wrestle, even if you were like a hobbit. That's the beauty of the game. It just makes you feel heroic, and if you fail, it's funny, and there's never any hard feelings because that's the point of the game. Now, I could do a whole series of videos. I could do this whole video on Dungeons & Dragons, and I really wish I could, and I probably will in the future. But for right now, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, keep it to that, and I'll move on with the next thing. God, I really do need to work on talking slower and breathing. Oh, it's my first try. Anyway. The second thing that I really want to recommend is called Rat Queens. It is I have it somewhere around here, it's a graphic novel series, comic series. I really don't know the difference. Basically, I am no ways a veteran to graphic novels, comic books. I'm a noob entirely, but Rat Queens is one that I can highly recommend, where you follow the story of this group of female adventurers as they beat the shit out of everything. The premise of it is very badass women don't need no men sort of thing, but it's not really a premise that they try and shove down your throat. Or at least if they do, you still enjoy it, right? There are enough like comics series that just glorify everything, and this does exactly the opposite. It is crude, it is rude, and it is just dirty about it. It just follows medieval life so well, as like augmented with fantasy and just sort of the abuse of magical powers, which you would just blatantly do if you had magical powers. I haven't found a single thing that I dislike about Rat Queens, and I've found so many things that I love about it. The art, the writing is just spot on. The artwork just brings it to life, and then the combination of both just constantly leaves me in stitches. It is fantastic. Yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to pick up graphic novels and maybe wants a break from the comics entirely surrounding like the Marvel, DC, all the superheroes, just the ones that make everything look perfect. This one just makes everything look so wrong, and everything goes wrong constantly, and just finding hilarious ways to get out of it. It goes on quite well if you like the D&D sort of thing, because it shows how everything isn't perfect and how you can get out of things in the most bizarre of ways. Now the third and final thing I want to talk about is the Rubik's Cube. Wait, the Rubik's Cube. Basically, I know what you're thinking, Rubik's Cube's impossible. Well, no, it isn't. It's actually really easy. You just need to spend like one day learning how to do it. The only problem is, and this leads me on to my second point about the Rubik's Cube, is don't learn how to do the Rubik's Cube, because it will ruin your belief about the Rubik's Cube forever, which is that it's impossible. And once you learn that it isn't impossible, it's kind of like finding out Santa isn't real. It's really quite upsetting. Basically, the Rubik's Cube is brilliant. It gives you a little thing you can do to keep your hands busy, keep your mind sort of occupied whilst you're waiting for something. It stops me from chewing my nails very badly, I still do. But yeah, at the same time, the little joke that I have about it is that once you learn how to do it, it is like finding Santa isn't real, because you can do the Rubik's Cube now. What's the point? Like, you've won, you've done the impossible. It's like winning Dark Souls, which also I did recently the other day, so I'm quite happy with myself. Rubik's Cube is just a little bonus one. Learn how to do it. It's actually really easy, and you can impress your friends with it if you're really nerdy, which I am. Also, when you've learned to do the Rubik's Cube, why stop there? You can be a super nerd and learn how to do crazy patterns on it. If a solved Rubik's Cube wasn't confusing enough, how about this? Or this? It allows you to have a little something to fiddle with when you get bored. That came out wrong? Or right? You know. So there you go, there are my first three little random things that I enjoy doing that I wanted to recommend to you guys just to get my sort of vlogging scene started. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to do and how frequently I'm going to do them, so don't sort of hang around with them like I would expect anyone to anyway. I just want to say again, thank you for Jordan Booth for getting me started on this. I wouldn't have done it for another few years if it wasn't for you. And yeah, I'm going to keep writing a few more ideas for what else I want to talk about, and I'll see you next time in the next video, whenever that is. Bye!